What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, joined by maybe the toughest individual in the UFC. He is UFC welterweight Jack Della Maddalena. And Jack, thank you so much for joining us, man. You are back in Perth after a big win in UFC 299 in Miami. How's it feel to be home? And obviously, you flew a long way, but you flew away with a big victory. So that's got to make the ride a little sweeter.
Yeah, for sure. It's not always nice to get home and just settle in back home, see the fam. But yeah, it was also it's a long journey. But yeah, getting the victory obviously made that journey a lot sweeter.
So the victory makes the plane ride a little sweeter, but the broken arm, I'm sure, made the plane ride a little bit worse. And what is that, like 30, it's about 30 hours, right? I mean, 30
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, all up like from start to like leave, getting to the Miami airport, and then getting to Perth airport is yeah about 30 something hours, maybe 32 hours or something, with a big stopover. So
Yeah,
it's long.
long time to be on a plane healthy, let alone with a broken arm. When did you leave Miami? Did you leave the day after the fight?
We left Sunday night, like for Saturday night, left Sunday night. So
Last Sunday night.
yeah,
So had you, I mean, as obviously we've all seen now the X-ray that Tim Simpson, your manager, shared. Did you get that X-ray probably back home, or did you get it in Miami before you went?
nah, I was just got it back home. I sort of was pretty certain it was broken. I kept telling everyone I'm pretty sure it's broken, but if I get the scan here, I still want to get home, so it wouldn't have changed anything. So just bit the bullet, and yeah, it was all right. I had a couple of glasses of wine on the flight and made it pretty easy.
They got you in first class, or are you sitting in coach with a broken arm?
Half the trip was business
After,
class. Half the trip was not. So it was bittersweet.
how painful is it? How painful is it just be sitting there with a broken arm? Like, did you have
Honestly, it was all right, to be honest. Like the pain had sort of, I got some painkillers, so the pain had sort of passed from the night, but the night before was pretty sore. It was just more being cramped up, and anytime I moved, obviously I could feel it. It could hurt, but and even it started. My hand really got fat on the fly. It just started swelling up. I think from the pressure, but it was all right. Yeah, no. Honestly, it would have been a lot more painful had I have lost to Gilbert Burns.
for sure? Yeah, definitely. A win can go a long way in making it feel a lot better, I'm sure. I've rewatched the fight since. Do you know? Do you feel pretty certain when it happened?
Not really. I knew it was definitely I felt it going into the third round. But yeah, I noticed watching it back, like every time I was southpaw, Gilbert kicked me straight in the body. So I think that was obviously it was a good idea, I think. Every time I went southpaw, he punted me in the body. I'm sure it was one of the kicks to the forearm that did it. There was some pretty I can't remember the exact kick, but yeah, there were some pretty powerful kicks that I felt on the forearm.
When I was watching it, I thought there was a chance that it might have happened essentially immediately because he did throw some early kicks and you did block them. And he did continue that in the first two rounds, but some of the ones that you caught really kind of flush, I thought happened in basically the first 30 seconds. Like, do you recall at all feeling any pain during the fight?
No. The only time I remember feeling pain was probably going out to the third round. I felt not necessarily that it was broken, but I just felt that my grip had sort of just gone. I couldn't really grip anything. But yeah, I thought it may have just been a solid bruise. Definitely some of those kicks they were solid thuds, and I took them right on the forearm. So definitely knew my forearm had been bruised at least, but I didn't know it
Are,
was that bad.
After seeing the X-ray and it's a clean break, are you a little surprised that you weren't in more pain? I mean, it's not like it was a slow-paced fight. Like you were in the middle of kind of a firefight
Yeah.
with a broken arm. Are you a little surprised that you didn't notice more?
Pretty surprising, but to be honest, I feel like the second the ref pulled me off, and yeah, maybe 5 seconds after that, the pain really started to sink in. But yeah, adrenaline is a hell of a drug. I felt pretty sweet.
Um, this has got, I would imagine this is the worst injury that you've had during a fight in your career.
Sorry, say that again.
Is this the worst injury that you've had during a fight in your career? I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I've broken hands before in fights, but yeah, this is definitely Sorry, that was my boy gone wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the worst injury I've had in a fight, to be honest, outside of hands.
I would like, all fighters have a pretty high pain threshold, I would say. Would you say yours is, have you been aware that you have a significantly higher pain threshold? Is that like something that you already knew prior to this?
Not really. I've never really had any too bad of injuries in my career. I've been pretty lucky, touch wood. So no, it's not something I've known. But I don't even think it was that. I don't even think I've got a higher pain threshold. I find I get a bit freaked out with needles. It was more the I think the adrenaline just, and you know what? Like, and when you're in a fight, I'm pretty focused on winning, so I was just focused on getting the win, putting all the any other feelings to the back of my head and just going forward. So but it
The
definitely it
crazy,
was sore after, so
the,
straight
the
away
crazy
it
thing
kicked
is that
in.
you kept throwing it, right? I mean, like even in the third round, you're still throwing punches with your left arm, and then you were even bearing weight on it, like in some of the scrambles, like you're posturing on your left arm.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
I would even think like a doctor seeing that would just be like, dude, you're kind of a freak of nature. I mean, that just seems like that shouldn't be possible for you to be in the middle of scrambles with a BJJ black belt like Gilbert on a
Yeah, it's
broken
funny
forearm.
for sure. Watching it back, and yes, I was trying to I've been trying to sort of pinpoint the shot that broke it, but then just thinking like the last round for I probably spent like at least 45 seconds posted up on my left arm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
pretty weird. It's crazy. But yeah, adrenaline, I think I was just had one focus.
Did you go to the hospital on Saturday night?
Nah, I chose not to. I didn't think. I knew it was probably not good, but I didn't see. I just wanted to get home, so I couldn't see the benefit in going. They almost did. They were trying to not get me on the flight because I didn't have a doctor's note, but the UFC pulled through last minute and got me a doctor's note, so
Yeah.
that's all right.
Is it does it I mean I gotta admit, of course, like you would prefer your arm not to be broken, but I guess because it was and you beat Gilbert Burns with a broken arm, like does it tell you something about yourself? Does it make the win like bigger in your mind? Does it like does it give you confidence to be like, man, I can go and I really know I can go through a level of adversity like you probably knew beforehand, but then having done it, like does it add something to the victory or
I
is it
mean, it's cool. It's yeah, not really. I don't like being. It's gonna be. I hate being stuck still. Not being able to train for a bit of time. So it's pretty sad in that regard. But I mean, it's good. It's cool knowing that. Yeah, during a fight, you could. I guess I can be pretty injured, but I'll be able to. Yeah, adrenaline will pull me through, and I'll be good. So, but I mean, yeah, I guess bittersweet. It's pretty sad. I don't want to be sitting. I want to start training. I got some tough fights in front of me, but
Mhm.
maybe forced rest is a it's a blessing in disguise.
So since we're on just the topic of like your recovery, Tim told me that you'll be having surgery next week. What does the recovery look like for this injury?
I think the doc said so. Yeah, 12 weeks. I'm pretty much good to go. So obviously, I just need to focus on rehab. Not yeah, just focus heavily on rehab, get it nice and strong, and then 12 weeks. I feel like I'm good to start camp and get back in there.
What the surgery? I imagine what it just puts like a rod in your arm, and then the rod stays there, right? Even like the rod stays there for the rest of your life. Is it kind of that? Is
The
that the
rod
temperature?
got yeah, the rod goes in on Tuesday. I got some ligament damage in my thumb as well, so they're going to reattach some ligament. And then yeah, the doctor sort of said take it out. There's sort of conflicting doctors saying different stuff. So, but yeah, probably got to take it out. I think the
Okay.
idea is if it happens again with a rod in there, it's pretty tough to
Hmm.
sort out. Makes it that much more complicated. So probably get it in there, get it nice and strong, take it out, and then be good to go in 12 weeks.
That escape and reversal that you had on Gilbert to set up the knee. I mean, that's got to be one of the prettiest things you've done in the octagon, right? I mean, just the way in which you were able to reverse that position. What did you think of that sequence that led to you getting the
Yeah,
win over Gilbert?
yeah, I was pretty stoked with that. I was just waiting for my time. I thought I could get some elevation in his hips and get out of there. I was just waiting. But yeah, I like practicing reversals and that sort of technique. So yeah, I just bit my time and then I knew if I got to the feet at one more point, I feel like I had a good chance to get him out of there. So just waited and then went for it. But yeah, I was pretty stoked to
That
get
knee that
that
you
on.
landed when he shot back in, is that something that you just kind of like, was that just instinct or was that something you had kind of drilled? Because you actually hit him with a knee after a scramble in the first round too. So is that something you had
It,
kind of banked on, or is that just in the moment?
it was something I thought was there. I felt like throughout the fight I could see it, and I didn't want to. I knew it was a risky one, because you throw and it doesn't land. He has a good solid chance of getting my hip. So, but I thought it was the right time. I thought I had just gotten up, so I thought there was probably a high chance that he'd just shoot again out of instinct. So just went for it.
How did you feel about the performance start to finish?
I felt pretty good with the performance. I feel like I could have been a bit more aggressive in getting away from him in the takedowns, but I knew I had 3 rounds, so I didn't want to do anything too dangerous. Just yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I thought I was beating him on the feet. He landed some good shots, but I feel like I didn't take any damage on the ground, so I was happy.
Were you surprised when you found out that he was ahead both rounds? Did you feel like it was a fight that you were winning? Like,
No, I thought honestly the way I would think, I thought I was beating him in the fight. I thought I was out damaging him. He was able to hold me, didn't land much damage. But I'm also understand how the judging works. So going into the third round, I knew most likely I was down 2 rounds just from being controlled
mhm.
for a small period of each round. I thought that would be enough to definitely sway judges. So going into the final round, the corner told me, and I agreed with them that yeah, we need to get the finish, and they gave me the right advice. They sort of amped me up to go after the finish, and yeah,
Is that the best feeling you've had so far in your career? Like right when the referee pulls you off of that one? Is that one tough
that
to
was a
top
night
so
for
far?
sure. I mean, honestly, that moment where the ref pulls you off, or it feels pretty similar. It's just like a nice feeling. It's
Mhm.
getting the finish is pretty cool, and but yeah, obviously, yeah, the biggest. I always want my next fight to be the biggest fight. So yeah, that moment is definitely yeah. I like that moment. I like yeah. I replay that moment in my head a fair bit.
And then you call out Shavkat, which everybody loves because no one's calling out Shavkat. But
Yep.
um, people should know, man. I mean, you were calling out Shavkat. You called out Shavkat to me backstage in Perth over a year ago. I mean, this is a fight that you have had circled for a while. How long have you been wanting this fight?
It's a weird one. I don't know why him. I've probably the last three. I reckon since my contender series fight or the first fight in the UFC, I've always seen him and thought he's young, he's my age, and he's finishing everyone. And I always thought he was the toughest fight in the division. So yeah, it's the fight I've been hanging out for.
Has the UFC ever showed a mutual interest in it? Because, like you said, you've mentioned it before. Have you ever discussed it? Has it ever been like a possibility in the past?
It's sort of there. I think they know it's inevitable, to be honest. I think they're trying to make it happen at the right time. And my thoughts are this is the right time. I reckon it's the biggest title eliminator fight to go down in UFC,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the runs that you guys are on. I'm trying to think of what would be the biggest number one contender fight in UFC history. That would be a fun list to try to put together off the top of my head. That's a tough question to ask, but and then he responded to you. It seems like he would like to do it. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you read his tweet. What did you think of it?
Yeah, great. I couldn't have he's perfect. He's like a James I feel like he's like a James Bond villain, eh? So I'm happy to
Mhm.
be James Bond. And yeah, I thought that was the perfect response from him. So I think I don't know how this thing works, but I think it's on.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. What would you think about timing wise? I mean, obviously now you got your arm to heal up from. I imagine Leon, there's some talk about maybe a pay-per-view card in Manchester. Fortunately, you got some inside info on that with your manager being Tim Simpson. But when do you think it lines up? When you think about Leon's
Um,
schedule and your schedule, what do you think this would make sense to do?
I think Shavkat from this is what I don't really I haven't spoken to anyone about this, but I've seen that maybe he wanted to fight early August. He's carrying an injury.
Mhm.
I'm carrying an injury. I reckon I'm good to go early August. So August sometime, mid-August, maybe down this side of the world. Who knows?
Yeah. wherever it takes place is going to be great. I guess the last thing I would ask you is, can you preview it for me? This is a fight that you've been thinking about. What do you think this fight looks like? What do you think are
Oh, I think it's
the keys?
I reckon it's one of the biggest. It's a big title eliminator fight. Like two guys under 30. He's on an 18 fight, no losing streak, all finishes. I'm on a 17 fight streak. Probably 95% finishes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we go in there and I think I finish him. I think I go in there and shock the world. A lot of people count me out, but I reckon I can spark him and then get the title shot.
What do you think is like, I've asked you this before, like what allows you to finish these fights, and I think like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that you've kind of talked about how you get reads early on and you get a good feel for guys and you draw them into your shots. Is that kind of appropriate to say? Like that's one of the ways, that's one of the
Yeah, for
reasons why you're
sure.
finishing fights.
I think so. I feel like I'm pretty patient, and I'm not just going to swing and hope for the best. I like to set my timing and make the decision at the right time. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think patience and timing.
And so how about him? Like if that's what's leading to your finishes, what have you seen in terms of him? Why is he finishing so much?
He's tough, He's definitely. It's not going to be easy. I just think, yeah, it's going to be a tough fight. He's going to bring it. It's going to be wild, and I think he's hittable for sure. He showed that he can absolutely take some of the biggest shots. He took big shots from Jeff Neal, but I think he's hittable, and I feel like I can hit him. So
Yeah.
I think me and him will put on a big fight, good fight, and big drama show. They say in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, the Triple G thing. Yeah. I guess since you called him out, yeah, he's got that big following. You've heard that anything that has to do with him, his fan base comes along. After you called him out in such a big way, did you get a response from Kazakhstan at all?
Yeah, I like my Instagram is just covered in Kazakhstani flags. So
Which
I
is
got to
fun.
respect it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I would love to see him get some Australian flags. So
Yeah.
get the Aussies going. But yeah, it's great to see I would love to visit Kazakhstan. So yeah, I'd love to beat Shavkat and then I'll go to Kazakhstan and check it out.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, well, you got me excited about this fight, and I think I've never heard anybody talk about like trying to place historically like a title eliminator fight. And I mean, if we want to build this thing as the biggest title eliminator fight in UFC history, like I'm there for it. I think it's going to be a great fight. I hope it comes together. I believe it'll come together. And you are tough, dude. I mean, for you to not even realize that your forearm is broken, and for nobody in the arena, like usually, like the commentators can notice, the opponents notice, your own corner, like they didn't even know, right? I mean, nobody knew that your forearm was snapped clean in half when you're fighting that third round.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I knew pretty much when the fight was over. I knew pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, adrenaline, as I said.
Yep, it is a hell of a drug. Well, congrats on the win, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck on surgery, and I'll let you get to your son and enjoy your family since you've been gone for a little bit.
Cheers, Brett. Have a good day. Thank you very
All right,
much.
man. Congrats again. Great win.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.